It all began with an arch. Not just any arch, but one of massive size and unparalleled beauty. Located far inside one of the most geographically complex areas on the planet, I knew I was going to have to plan carefully to reach this coveted site. As I was planning my backpacking route, I realized that the journey to the arch held many ancient wonders, some as breathtaking as the arch itself. Between fascinating ancient history, strange geometric features, and incredible geology, there is so much to be learned from this canyon complex. Join me as I backpack into the wilderness to experience the amazing hidden wonders of this canyon firsthand. Welcome. I am currently very far into this canyon complex, and the sun is about to set. You can see our camp set up down there, and that's Martha, and that's Martha's friend Allison. As you can see around me, we just have some massive sandstone walls that are getting bathed by the sun right now. So I thought I would come up onto this ridge for sunset to talk about the day we just had today, because we hiked in just over 7 miles today and saw a lot of stuff. And I also found something really interesting on this ridge as well. So let's go look at that. So up on this ridge, about 200 meters from our campsite, are some strange stone circles. And I'm not sure if these were placed here by ancient Native Americans. There's no doubt, though, that we saw a lot of ancient history today. To basically recap today, we started our hike and quickly got onto some pretty solid sandstone. And we were hiking on these sandstone cliffs for about 4 hours, and it was gorgeous. The sun was coming in and out, and we were just going up and down over these sandstone fins. Eventually, we were able to drop down into this valley floor here, and as we did so, we went through several ladders and actually got to walk through a couple arches as well, and that was really fun. As we dropped down into this canyon, we quickly started seeing several ancient ruins and some pictographs, just going to show that we are walking in a canyon that was once inhabited for probably thousands of years, and we're going to see a lot of the remnants of that habitation over the course of this trip. And like I said, I'm not sure if these stone circles are part of that, but I could see them being maybe a watchtower, because this is a great viewpoint here. It was a wonderful day of hiking. I am super excited for what we're going to see tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be walking this way and just continuing to wind along this kind of river system here. All right, let's get back to camp and make some food for the night. Here's a closer look at the camp setup, and Alice and Martha are cooking up their food. We had to bring a bear canister out here because apparently there are bears in this canyon. This is Allison and Martha's dinner. Looks quite appetizing, I'd say.
Quite appetizing.
Hey. I'm just gonna be sleeping under the stars tonight, and all I hope is that no little animals crawl on me. Alright, heading to bed for the night.
What?
Gonna watch the stars. I'm recording! Martha's mad I'm recording. See you guys in the morning. Good morning. We are currently getting an early start on our hike today. We have a lot of ground to cover, about 14 miles. Really want to see that arch, and then hopefully we find some ancient history along the way as well. Pretty much all day we're going to be walking on this kind of sandy wash, and I'm just going to be scanning the cliff edges for pictographs and dwellings and other arches as well, because I have seen a couple others. It was pretty cold last night, but definitely bearable. We all brought pretty good sleeping bags, and I would estimate it got down to about maybe 35. A lot of the hike today is going to be pretty brushy because this wash evidently flash flooded probably last year, and that just carried a bunch of debris that has gotten caught on all these trees. And you can see here there's just a ton of it on everything, but it also opens up too, and honestly it makes for pretty nice walking down here. There's the sun. That always feels nice after 12 hours of darkness. It's not winter out here, but it's not exactly fully spring yet either. It's kind of right on the edge. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. We should be able to see the natural amphitheater that I found on Google Earth today. It's right kind of near the end of our hike today. Just check that out. It's gonna be a great day for hiking. The canyon walls are starting to get pretty tall, and we have some impressive pinnacles and stuff in the distance. And we're still just walking on this kind of flooded wash bottom here. There's starting to become more and more water. We're actually making very good progress just because this walking is so much easier than what we were doing yesterday. Yesterday, over the rocks and up and down, you go really slow, but here on the wash bottom with nice soft sand to walk on, things go by pretty quick. You can see we have very healthy biological soil crust in here, just because evidently this canyon does not receive much travel. There is a small trail once in a while, but other than that, not much. Look at this, we got the first arch of the day up there. And that thing is pretty big. It's really far away. And that's still quite an overhang. It's starting to get pretty windy as this storm blows in. And it's definitely making it a lot cooler. So hopefully we can get back to camp before anything major hits. But so far still clear skies. We have several cacti all bunched up next to each other here. Got some little barrels, some prickly pear, and then a bunch more of those kind of bunch barrel cacti. And I'm pretty sure these two are different species. Just spotted the first archaeological site of the day. Got a very small granary right there. You can just barely see the window. So I just spotted a couple more stone granaries up on this cliff band. They might be a little hard to see, but there's one there and over there. And it's really exciting because for the first probably 4 miles of the day, I didn't really see anything, and I was beginning to think we wouldn't see anything at all today, but now things are really starting to pop up. We're currently approaching a giant sandstone wall that is going to mark our turn up a different canyon to get to this arch. I imagine that thing is at least 300 feet tall, and it kind of reminds me of Half Dome just because it's kind of a dome shape with just a flat face. We have some sort of pictograph in the shadow up there. Kind of looks like a bird or a person with wings. We are now at the junction of the two canyons, and the arch is going to be up that way. But I wanted to point out that the natural amphitheater is right over there. So when we're coming back out, I'm going to go take a look at it. I almost missed it, but I just spotted an amazing ruin right there. It looks like it's in almost perfect condition. And I think that one was not a granary, but actually a habitation. And then there's a bunch of pictographs, including a white circle, some white lines up there. So maybe I'll go check that out a little bit closer in a bit after we go to the arch. But super cool to see. So probably the inhabitants of this side canyon living in there. We're getting pretty close now, and it just feels like the canyon walls are getting taller and taller. I mean, that wall out there is over a mile away, and it is taking up a large portion of our view. These ones right next to us in the sun are really, really tall now. That up there would probably make a pretty crazy waterfall during a flash flood event. All right, we made it. You guys ready? There it is. One of the biggest arches in the Southwest. And I think one of the most photogenic. We just nailed the time for this. It's perfectly in the sun, blue sky behind. Couldn't ask for better. I've been wanting to see this thing ever since I first saw a picture of it. And that was many, many years ago. So to finally be here is surreal. And my favorite part about this arch is like, it looks like it forms a little heart on top. And then check this out. Not only does the arch look like it has a heart, but in pure geologic coincidence, there's another giant rock here that also looks like a heart. Two hearts right next to each other. It's also located within just one of the craziest canyons I've ever been in. These sandstone walls are massive and you just have massive overhangs left and right. And it's funny how the canyon just abruptly ends up here. And that's what this canyon complex does. There's just hundreds, maybe thousands of canyons like this. It's crazy to me that there's so many more beautiful canyon walls that probably don't get seen very often out here. All right, we've spent a good amount of time here eating lunch, snacking, and enjoying the amazing view. Now, the plan is to go check out that ruin up a little bit closer, and then after that, go check out the natural amphitheater. Currently on my way up to give this ruin a bit of a closer look, and we can see it's just right there. So I think I just need to come up this little cliff face here. Anyway, okay, I gotta be really careful here not to disturb anything. But here we are, kind of on this flat section. And here are those pictographs I was talking about earlier. Just a white circle, a couple white lines, and some sort of like green line behind that. Going on this cliff edge, we have a little granary structure. You can actually see the remnants of some maybe pottery and nuts down in there. This might be one of the most untouched ruins I've ever been to, just because how remote this is. We can see, like earlier, they were using big slabs of rock for that. Around the corner is this really big structure. That is so impressive. That is one of the best preserved ruins I've ever seen. So taking a closer look, I can put my arm over and kind of see what's in there. I won't be able to see right now because I just not quite tall enough, but you guys are seeing whatever's in there. I'll look back later. And we can even see individual like fingerprints from where they were pressing in the mortar. Like right here, fingerprints. Like I said, very, very well preserved. And then we can see, I couldn't see this from the ground, but over here is kind of another structure which has fallen down a bit more. So wow, that's a pretty cool find. I love seeing this stuff. Give you one last close look at this stone masonry. And then the view from this site is one of the best I've ever had. Some grand cliffs. And actually we can just barely see the tip of that arch out there. Yeah, that just goes to show that this canyon was inhabited just over 1,000 years ago by the ancestral Puebloans, and they were storing their food in structures like that. Alright, well that was very pleasant and awesome to see, and just remember, if you ever find archaeological sites like this one, please respect them. As we can see, this one has been respected, and because of that it's in very, very good condition, and it can be enjoyed by me and many other people who eventually come up this canyon. Alright, now we only got one more thing to check out today, and that's the natural amphitheater. And I'm gonna head straight there and see what it looks like from the ground. Certainly from Google Earth and any kind of aerial imagery, it looks to be a pretty impressive feature. So I unfortunately cannot have my drone in this canyon, so I won't really be able to get an aerial view in person, but at the very least I can go get eyes on the ground. Alright, I've made it to the natural amphitheater, and it is way bigger than I was expecting. It's almost too big to comprehend from the ground, so I'll try to give the lay of the land, but the edge starts here and then it goes around and just keeps going way off into the distance, and this right here is that center structure. It's huge. It is really big. So I'm gonna go see if I can either get on top of that or just kind of get somewhere up higher and maybe get a little bit better perspective. All right, I've made it to the other side, and yeah, I'm definitely not gonna be getting on top of the center structure just because it's a cliff kind of all the way around, which is unfortunate because I would really like to get up there. So maybe someday I'll be able to climb it. So it starts over there with that wall, and we can just see it in a perfect circle, rings around all the way over to here. And this front section is just completely flat. And then behind me is that big structure. And so if I had my drone, I would be able to see what a perfect circle this is. But since I can't do that, at least we can see with the Google Earth imagery how it's very, very similar to what I'm looking at right now. Just because the resolution of the imagery here is super high quality. And man, that's really cool. This would be a really very interesting place to see from an airplane. In my original Google Earth video where I talked about first finding this feature, I wasn't really sure about what was causing it, but then a lot of people commented about what probably caused it, and that is the stream or river that flows through this canyon most likely used to flow through here following this kind of long path. But then eventually, way out behind me, the river eventually cut a more efficient pathway behind this block of sandstone, and then it started taking that path back there instead of coming uphill to go around this bend. So this is basically a ancient oxbow, most likely. Anyway, wanted to show that to you guys. Now you've seen it, what it looks like from the ground. And I am now gonna head back to camp. It's probably about 6 or 7 miles from here, so it's gonna be a slog. It might be hard to see, but I just spotted what looks like several dwellings up on this ledge. Just in this kind of cliff between this willow here. And you can see there's one building over here, and then another really large building right there. I really wish I could go get up there, but for one, it looks to be a pretty gnarly cliff, and for two, I just don't have time to get all the way over there. As we keep walking, I just keep spotting stuff like that. Real quick, just before I end the video, I thought I would take you guys through my route on Google Earth, just so you can see from above where we hiked, because it's kind of hard to film everything while I'm going through there, otherwise the video would be super long. So we started just over here, and I'm not naming where all this is in this video just to protect the archaeological resources that I saw in this video, but I'm sure many of you will recognize this area. Anyway, we started at this parking lot here, next to this weird circular shape that I spotted, and walked across this trail here, and quickly got onto the sandstone where we went up and down like I said. And then eventually we had to cross this big spine here, and I'm not sure exactly where we did it just because I can't see the trail, but it was right here. I will tell you that it was a little bit sketchy climbing up and down on this, and then we were staying on this rim here for a little bit. So then we hiked on that rim there for a while, got across this canyon here, and then eventually ended up on this guy where we again went up and down through a couple arches like you guys saw, and then eventually we ended up, I think it was here, no, right here, and this is where that ladder was. And so we descended down this big crack here, and you can see the trail pop out below that. And then by that point, we were finally done with the canyon, or the sandstone walking, and we were now down at the bottom of the canyon. So yeah, we ended up down here. This is where that second arch was, and all the pictographs that we saw. And from this point on, it was really desolate. There was not too many people past this point, and we were really on our own, just because the farther you get into this canyon complex, you can see it gets very complicated. It's hard to find your way through all these winding canyons, but that's what we had to do. So we kept walking from there and just followed this creek here until we eventually set up camp right under this tree here. So, and then at the beginning of the video where I showed you guys those stone circles where it's up on this hill here, and you can kind of see my view that I had. Looks pretty similar here on the imagery, because the imagery is very high quality here. We camped there and then began walking down this canyon, and we had to walk very far down this canyon. So I'll zoom out a bit to just show you how many canyons are in this area, and we actually did go the wrong way a couple times. I think we ended up walking down this way for a bit, but we ended up finding the right way, which is this way, and we walked back and forth around these big bends. And it was funny because sometimes we were walking not 100 meters in a direction, but we had to go all the way around just because there was a cliff. And so we kept walking on and on and on until here. Here is that big half dome looking wall that I showed you guys, and I measured about 300 feet tall, so my estimate was correct, which means these tall ones here are probably almost 800 feet above the ground. And yeah, like I said in the video, these were just towering above us. It was super cool to see. So we walked through here, and then this is where we turned off to go to the arch, where this little guy was marking for us. And as you can see, the natural amphitheater was right next to us. So we walked up this way, and this is where the walls were just beautiful, super tall, you know, towering above us, and it was gorgeous. And then eventually we made it up to here, and this is where the imagery kind of goes to crap. It's not as good there. But the arch is in one of these fins here. It's kind of hard to tell. We went and stood up right here. This is where that heart-shaped rock is, and looked. I think the arch is right here. So we were standing this way looking at it. And then there was the end of the canyon where it abruptly stopped, like I said. Then we walked back out, and I went and ran over to the natural amphitheater, which you can see here. Just a super cool thing formed by, like I said, the river getting cut off. It used to flow this way. And I went and stood right on one of these boulders in the video because I couldn't find a way up onto here. I probably could have gone all the way around, but I was kind of pressed for time, so I didn't end up doing that. You can see my view, and I could see from the ground, kind of at this level, all of those cliffs in a ring. And then we ended up hiking back, and I think we hiked out a different way than we came in, and I didn't film any of that, but I'll just show you anyway, in case you're interested. We ended up going all the way out, hitting this road here, and having to walk on the road back to our car there. Hopefully that made some sense and just gave you guys some context for how much of a maze of canyons is over here. It's really, really cool to be in here, but also a little bit, I don't know, uncomfortable just because you feel kind of trapped in a maze. All right, we made it back to camp, mostly intact, and the one thing we thought we would show is, wait, let me get the focus here. Allison's hand is super puffy. Here, show the other one so we can compare. We're not sure what happened, whether it was a bug bite or just extreme sunburn, but something along those lines. We're gonna enjoy the sunset and then head to bed and get out of here early tomorrow. This has been on my list for so long, like I said, and it is really awesome to finally be able to do it. And it did not let down. That arch was beautiful, and all of the ruins within this canyon were as well. And I was able to knock that Google Earth find off the list of being able to visit in person, and that was really cool as well. Just because, you know, that's not something I've been doing very long, and it's a really fun feeling to see something that you were looking at on the imagery. So thank you guys for watching to the end, and let me know if you like the backpacking style, and I can try to plan some more backpacks for this year. And thank you to my patrons, and I'll see you guys in the next video.